10:07, 7 past 10, hour number 2 of Bruce and Dan. I'm Jake Hartford.
And I'm John Cass. And we've got a lot of calls on this, whatever happened yesterday. What was the news again?
The debate.
I think, yeah.
Now, if I had posted on my Facebook last night, because I was doing live commenting during the whole debate, that if I were Romney, the first question I would have turned to Obama and said, what was the price of gas the day you took office and what is it today? And if I were Obama, I would have turned to Romney and said, do you know where your dog is tonight? And that I figure that would...
On a stick over coals?
No, remember the dog on the top?
Yeah, I know. And I remember
which
that
kind of
Obama
rattled
ate some
him a
dog.
bit. Yeah.
But there was a lot of canned stuff, you know? A lot of canned stuff, a lot of canned campaign slogans thrown back and forth, and some of it was confusing.
I mean, you heard the part about, the deficit. He can't be blamed for it because he inherited 2 wars that were paid for on a credit card.
Yeah, right.
But yet he also said we're going to rebuild America using that money that we're not spending on the wars anymore. Well, that's not like there's a whole line of money coming in. That was on the credit card. That was borrowed money.
That's Big Bird China money. Why don't we take some calls? How about Lee in the car? Lee, are you in a car?
Hey, Lee.
I think the next page in Axelrod's playbook is what he terms the weirdness of Mitt Romney and, by implication, Mormonism. And, they kind of laid the predicate for it. I think there was a recent, it was either in Time or Newsweek, cover story on Mormonism. And I don't think they can win on the issues. I mean, Romney launched that fusillade at the end. I mean, that was the most effective thing in the debate, in my opinion, at the end, when he just ticked off everything that's wrong with the economy. So they really can't fight him on the issues. I think they're going to make it personal.
Well, I think at the end, that's what happens, right? I mean, on the other side, we saw the Obama talking like a black preacher, kind of playing the race card in 2007. That tape came out right before the debate. This is big-time politics, and guess what? That's how we play it in Chicago, too.
The other good line that Michael Moore had was the way the Romney was going, even Obama may end up voting for him. That's from Michael Moore.
It was pretty good.
Don in Naperville. Good morning, Don.
Yeah. Hi there, guys.
Hey.
Good program, as always. And I just wanted to know, the president couldn't have his teleprompter, but why didn't he bring a chair?
He did. It was Jim Lehrer was sitting in it.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't count. Oh, and I got a question, too. Is Obama a product of affirmative action? I mean, he got into Columbia and Harvard. They must be proud of him.
I think he's a pretty bright guy. And,
yeah, you're underestimating him, Don.
He's a pretty bright guy. And actually, I got to confess something. I mean, I know him. I covered him. Personally, he's a nice guy. I mean, if you meet him, except for that Kaminsky Field thing that he said, kind of embarrassed all Sox fans. But his policies, different matter. Different matter.
John in Mundelein. Good morning, John.
Hi, you guys. I just wanted to ask about something very specific that happened during the debate. Sort of a question more about substance than style. At one point, the president said we should eliminate the deduction that is given to businesses who move a plant overseas. And then Romney responded by saying, that deduction doesn't exist. I've never heard of such a thing. Maybe I need a new accountant.
Right.
So it does exist. The president was right. Right now, a business that spends $1 million relocating overseas can claim a $350,000 tax deduction, and the president wants to get rid of that. So my question for you is, was Romney pretending he didn't know that was the case, or despite the fact that he was the president of a private equity investment firm, he somehow didn't know that? Because it's got to be one or the other. So which is it?
No, it doesn't have to be one or the other, because if you got 40,000 pages of IRS regulations, that's why you have accountants who do all that stuff for you.
Well, either it's true or it's not. I mean, the deduction does exist.
Well, he doesn't have to, but he doesn't have to know what it is.
You know what, though?
He didn't know it.
John, I think this is the tack you're taking. This is John from Mundelein. The tack you're taking, I think, is laid out in the, the discussion on the left, right? Which is, we got our butts kicked last night. We have to go after a new tact, which is to cut down on the so-called facts. Correct?
Something is true. A so-called fact? What are you talking about?
No. What I mean is everybody.
But John, he doesn't. There's 40,000 pages of IRS regulations. Do you think Obama knows everything? Do you really think Obama knows
knew
everything?
There was a deduction that you can claim that you moved your plan overseas. At least the president knew
Okay,
that. Why didn't Romney know it?
because then at the next debate, Romney can pull out a fact that's very obscure, and he can ask Obama if he knows it.
But I
Jesus.
don't listen though. I think that this is. I didn't mean to say so-called, but this is what they're doing. It was so devastating that they had to have to change the subject, and the New York Times is trying to help, and that's what we'll see. How about Bill from Chicago? Bill.
Hello.
Hey, Bill.
Obama doesn't admit any time that he made a mistake. And like there when he wanted to have the Catholic Church, hospitals give abortions and things like that, figures that otherwise they could hold back funds for the hospitals. And then like when he heard about that Fast and Furious, I guess that's where the automatic guns were sold to the Mexican cartels. He says, well, that's the first I hear about it. I don't know anything about it. And he wasn't interested or didn't express any interest in finding out what was going on. And then also, to further along that line, when it was mentioned in the news that around 30,000 politicians and citizens in Mexico were killed by these guns from the Fast and Furious thing. And he kind of shrugged his shoulders and didn't really say anything about it. Kind of just let it go. There's that kind of stuff.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
See, that's important to Bill.
That is.
Mike and Schaumburg.
Good morning. I think John is right. The president didn't seem like he was ready to have all this thrown at him. His petulance started to show through. He started to develop a little twitch, like Inspector Clouseau's boss. He'd get a little bit jiggy there. He was like kind of get a little tick going. He wasn't sure about his points, and he was constantly looking down. His
Mike,
body language was bad.
President Obama was not that bad.
Listen, Mike, when he takes out the steel balls and starts clicking them in his hand and accuses people of stealing the raspberries like Clinton used to do, then we'll know, or strawberries, whatever. What was that movie? What was that movie? You stole the strawberries, and he's clicking the steel balls. Humphrey Bogart, come on.
Caine Mutiny.
The Caine Mutiny, thank you.
Thank you. This is like doing a show after the Bears game.
Which what?
Well, gee. I mean, okay, Romney did fine last night.
Right.
But he wasn't overwhelmingly fine. The president looked a little bit off his game. Yes, he did. But he wasn't there wasn't a big as gap as everybody's saying. Gosh.
I don't think it was a slam dunk, but I do think that we're underestimating how well Romney did. If you just think it was kind of even or just a little bit ahead, that wasn't the case at all. I would disagree, respectfully.
10:15, time for traffic right here in 89 WLS.
The 89 WLS box office is now open.
That's right. Right now, the 89 WLS box office is open. Callers 15 through 19 at 312-591-UULS. That's 312-591-8857. We'll receive a pair of tickets to see the advanced screening of Argo, starring Ben Affleck, Bryan Cranston, Alan Arkin, and John Goodwin. What a cast. The screening is this Monday at the Showplace Icon Theater in Chicago. Good luck. 10:17, John Cass back with Jake Hartford. Let's get back to the calls. Jerry in Springfield. Jerry, you're on 89 WLS.
Hey, John, I'd like to explore something with you. I was in the same boat with you. I said Obama's going to win this election before the debate, and last night Obama had his head handed to him. I wonder why you still think he can win this election. There's two more debates, and Romney I thought he cleaned the floor with the guy last night. If I had to guess, if I didn't know any different, I would say Romney was the president and Obama was the challenger last night.
Well, I think Romney showed he was presidential and he cleaned the floor with him, but the math is the math. And what they've been doing in Ohio, spending, I don't know how many trillions of dollars, how many millions of dollars accusing Romney of giving the lady cancer and on, I think it comes down to mathematics and a few thousand votes in a few counties in just a handful of states, right? What do you think?
Yeah, that's it.
Jay?
It doesn't take a lot.
You know, it's not like
so you're telling me that Romney cannot overcome Obama zombies?
No,
They're just going to show up at the polls and vote for Obama just like they did 4 years ago.
I don't think anybody who votes in a presidential campaign is a zombie, but I do think that it is a difficult thing for Romney to win, and he has to get everybody out. And Obama has a great group there that is focused on getting on door-to-door politics, getting voters to the polls.
Well, let me ask one more question, and I'll let you go.
Yeah, will Salini do any time?
Do you really think Obama's going to pull like he did 4 years ago? Do you think he's going to have the numbers he had from 4 years ago? Because if he doesn't,
yeah, but
I think Romney's got a real shot.
Yeah, but Jerry, what John was just trying to tell you is he doesn't have to pull a lot of money, a lot of voters out of Illinois. He doesn't have to pull huge numbers out of California. He has enough of a lead in those two states, for example, that he's going to take those states. He needs to carry a couple key states at this point, and that's why they call them the battleground states, and they're the swing states. And
you know who's going to decide this election? I think
Florida.
Working women, not women with a lot of money driving a big Lexus and going to Marco Island for vacation. But working women who work in, maybe a part-time job somewhere and work as hard as they can and take care of their kids and do the laundry at night and all that, those are the women who are going to decide this election. And how they see this election, is these two men, is going to determine it, I think.
Jerry in Arlington Heights. Good morning, Jerry.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
I'm fine.
Listen, I think they're already trying to start spinning this thing from last night. It was obvious that Romney won that debate, but now what they're starting to say is as if Obama had an off night, But the reason he had his off night is because he had an off 4 years. And the other thing is, as far as who's going to push this election through, it's going to be all of the people. It's not just going to be women.
Well, they're part of the equation.
I mean, I am a woman,
and I'm glad that you are a woman, Jerry.
Me too, Jerry.
God bless women.
Wait, Jake, wait till I tell you. I'm not only a woman. I'm a senior who's being taxed to death on a fixed income. I worked 45 years. Now you have young people who are out of work with families who are losing their houses. So it's not only just women that are going to do it. There's men that are being affected that have lost their jobs and can't provide for their families. So you know what I mean? I don't like to zoom in on kind of one group. It's all Americans. It's all people who are hurting, and that is the middle class.
You're a great American, Jerry.
Well, so are you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And I'm an evil American, apparently.
Yeah, at 10:37, don't forget Doug Schoen. We're going to have him, and we're going to continue to take your calls at 591-8900, 1021. Back after this.
I don't know what we're yelling about!
89 WLS. Bruce Wolf and Dan Proft. 89 WLS.
Jake Hartford, John Cass in for the guys. Let's quickly sneak in a call here. Charlotte in Arlington Heights. Hey, Charlotte.
Hi. Did you hear him mention Scott Brown last night from Massachusetts, a Republican being elected, and what that signified? Anyway, the point is that Obama's big achievement, nationalizing health care, 1/6 of the economy, was done by going around Senate rules. Just a simple majority. Scott Brown provided the 40 Republican votes needed for a filibuster in the Senate. He not only did Barack Obama not reach across the aisle and get any Republican votes, he used a trick to take over our health care industry in America, something that should be only used for financial bills, reconciliation.
I think, Charlotte.
That's a good point, Charlotte.
And when I was going in and out of the debate last night, the insurance companies, when they were having a discussion about Medicare, they were the evil insurance companies. How they're just going to cherry pick the young people, the good health people and whatever. But when it was the Affordable Health Care Act, they were the good insurance companies that we should have confidence in. They're going to give us.
He's all over the map. Yeah, he is.
Doug Schoen coming up at 10:35. It's 10:30 right now. Time for news, weather, traffic with Dave Stewart on 89 WLS.
Get Traffic and weather first on the 5s, mornings and afternoons, when you need it most. 89 WLS.
The president won.
The president didn't win, according to a lot of people. 1037, John Cass, Jake Hartford.
But that's what happens when you make predictions, Ram Father.
He predicted that yesterday.
Yeah.
Kind of like Dewey defeated Truman.
Or like many newspapers had, Gore defeats Bush.
Joining us right now, a man who has been right in the middle of campaigns, so he knows what's being said right now in both campaigns. Doug Schoen. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Let me right to it. What's being said inside the inner circle of the Obama campaign this morning?
Oh, my goodness. Here's the problem. The president was okay in his open, his first 40-odd minutes. And his close, I thought he went back to his names. But in between, he got pasted. He was uncertain. He was, frankly, not articulate. The governor was commanding. And you could tell from what David Axelrod, and the president himself said that they acknowledged that they took an unexpected but sound trouncing last night.
And why was that? What was it? The preparation? Too much preparation? Too little? Why do you think that happened?
I think that the president clearly was tired. He clearly had not been confronted aggressively enough by his handlers in preparation. And I think that he didn't have the specifics of his plan down well enough. And the governor understood what his liabilities were and spoke directly to them.
For the undecided voters who aren't really following policy nuance, but I guess some sort of personal symbolism, how did President Obama hurt himself?
Well, he hurt himself by looking uncertain. He hurt himself by not being able to speak to the role of government particularly well. Right. He hurt himself by not being able to rebuff Governor Romney's assertion that he was cutting $716 from Medicare. $716 billion from Medicare. So I think the president hurt himself by not being able to reply.
What's going on in the Romney camp then? Should they guard against being overconfident?
Oh, absolutely. Look, this is the beginning of a change in the race. It is not a game changer. They know that. I know that. Some in the press think that this may be more significant than it is. But this is the start of a change. No more, no less.
But once the ship starts to move in a certain direction, then the next day's story is, does momentum increase? And then you get that problem for any candidate on the other side of that, correct?
Oh, you do. But on the other hand, we have a town hall coming up in about 10 days, 2 weeks. That's Obama's strong suit, and I think he'll be much better prepared. And I think, so many views are hard now that this might produce 2-3 points of movement in the polls, but this is not going to be in and of itself the sea change that perhaps some commentators might think or want it to be.
Doug, when was the last time Obama really had a challenger in front of him debating? Wasn't that Hillary Clinton?
I think it would be the last time he had a real challenger was Hillary Clinton.
But what was her issue then? Wasn't she on the defensive with respect to the race card and all that?
Yeah, a fair amount of it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Obama was the fresh face then with low expectations. Now, the expectations for him were magnified, and he frankly didn't live up to them.
What do you think is going to happen in their vice presidential debate?
Good question. I mean, Biden is going to be prepared to suggest that Romney is being effectively controlled by Paul Ryan driving the bus, and that the Ryan plan is going to cut Medicare, turn it into a voucher plan, and turn Medicaid into a block grant, and try to make the case that people are at risk. Romney parried that very well. It's an open question whether Ryan will be able to take the argument to Vice President Biden.
How about stylistically?
Boy, was Governor Romney at the top of his game. I thought stylistically the president would have it all over him. I thought the governor would be uncertain and tentative, which I thought at the beginning he was a bit. But by the middle of the debate, the governor was getting stronger, more confident, more in control, and even more likable. And President Obama looked tired, sweaty, uncertain, and sometimes didn't make a lot of sense.
What are the chances that sometime today there's going to be an announcement that there was some big world event going on last night in Libya or whatever, and the president's mind was on that because that was going on?
I don't think you'll get that in the first debate. I was going to make a bad joke and say, wait to the third debate, but I don't think that's going to happen. What I think is more likely to happen is that an event outside of our anticipation or control, like the tragic killing of Ambassador Stevens in the embassy in Libya, could well happen between now and Election Day. There are many, many people who hate us, terrorists and the like, who will try to make mischief with our election. Let's just hope I'm wrong.
We'll let you go after this last question. If you're Obama, what do you do for the next debate?
You've got to be personal. You've got to be engaged. And you've got to take it to Governor Romney. You've got to get off your back foot. You've got to get engaged with the process. And you've got to drive the message that he's an out of control extremist whose policies would gut core social programs, and that he, Obama, is a centrist with a balanced plan to grow the economy and reduce the deficit. Tough thing to do. He tried last night. He didn't succeed. He has another bite at the apple on the 16th at Hofstra.
All right. Thank you very much, Doug. Always appreciate talking to you.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Doug Schoen, pollster.
The man knows his business, and you know, we got the $16 trillion deficit. How do you deal with, how do you come off as Mr. Fiscally Prudent? That's the trouble for the president.
Well, we're going to see. We're going to get back to your calls right after this. It's 10:44 on 89 WLS.
89 WLS. Notre Dame, Miami. Battle on the gridiron of Soldier Field this Saturday. Join 89 WLS and Chet Kopic live from Soldier Field starting at 4:30 p.m. from your flagship of the Fighting Irish, 89 WLS.
I want to remind you to join 89 WLS and AARP on October 16th at the Union League Club of Chicago for a 11th Congressional District candidate debate between Judy Biggert and Bill Foster. It's moderated by Bruce Wolf. Go to WLSAM.com to reserve your seat. Ro Khan was just in here, and one of the things they're going to talk about today, the Blink guy, the professor who was on the other day. Don't give the results.
I'm not gonna crack, but I will say that analyzing the debate based on their body language and their facial issues, I think was what we've been talking about this morning, which is it shows who wants to be president.
That'll be coming up today at 2 o'clock on Roe and Roper. Sandy in Chesterton. Good morning, Sandy.
Hi, good morning. And, John, you are not an evil American, please.
Thanks, Sandy.
The point I wanted to make, I put last night's debate on the same level as Monday night's Bears game. I totally enjoyed it. Did anyone, everyone's saying that he was off his game, President Obama was off and everything else. He didn't know what to say because he didn't have a teleprompter. Mm-hmm. For one thing, did anybody notice the earbug in his right ear? And when he was challenged by Governor Romney, he had to wait and listen to whatever someone was telling him.
Oh, he didn't. No, he didn't have anything in his ear.
Sandy, did you notice that he was pulling his nostril? What's that? I mean, didn't your mom tell you not to touch your nostrils?
I don't know what that means, John.
Don't touch your nostrils in public.
Well, that's better doing that than what some baseball players do.
But the fact is that he was nervous because he didn't know what to say. And then when he would hear what he was supposed to say, he would smirk and nod his head, and then he would reply.
Sandy,
that was so obvious.
He wasn't getting information. That would be wrong.
And he wasn't as bad as Gore. Remember Gore and Bush, where Gore was like, it was scary. Gore scared me there. No,
it is scary. The whole thing is scary, but I really did think that he did come off looking very badly last night. And Governor Romney really came off as a very strong person. And I have to tell you, I have a son in the military, and I see him being more respected by the military. That's my humble opinion.
Let's see if they vote for him.
Excuse me?
Let's see if they vote, how they vote.
I think after last night, it's just the beginning of a change.
Thank you, Sandy. Well, it's going to be interesting.
It will. I don't know. Like you said, it's just the first of 3 debates. There's a lot more to go, but at least people are focused now. I think it's fair to say the American public in the last 30 days, Let's focus on the
Yeah,
presidency.
but you know what's sad? We have this big national election, and you wouldn't know it in Illinois. Yesterday I saw my first Romney sign, and I saw 2 Obama signs, and that's it.
Well, that's because were you driving in Chicago? Romney signs are illegal. Didn't the Rom fathers say they're illegal?
Suburbs and the city.
Uh-huh.
In the last week or so, I've driven a lot, and that's it. That's all I've seen. Because we're not a swing state. We're just taking for granted.
At least we don't get killed by those commercials.
10:54, back after this.
89 WLS.
News from across the country and around the world is moments away with an ABC News update on 89 WLS and WLSAM.com.
It's been an interesting morning.
Oh, yeah.
It was an interesting night last night.
I think it was, the sound of sadness from some people.
Especially when Bernice beat up that guy from Great Britain. We talking about South Beach, Tona?
Was that the Kardashians doing the hair removal treatment?
It was interesting. You know what people should do, no matter if they're on the Romney side or the Obama side or the
American side.
Go back and look at the debate again.
Right.
And catch up a lot of stuff that maybe flew by you.
Just watch it.
And just watch it again and just kind of...
See which one's selling the ShamWow and which one's selling the other
ShamWow.
knives.
Anyway, that's John Cass. I'm Jay Cartford. We're out of here. It's Rush coming up in a few minutes. I'm sure he'll have his take on what happened in the debate last night. Roe and Roper, you got to catch them from 2 until 6 for your afternoon drive home. Or if you're around the house getting dinner ready, you listen to them. They're going to give you the results from the professor on the body language and the eye blinking, and it's startling. That's all I can say. One word, it's startling.